We'll be covering it here on the show.
Yep. Let's talk about ChatGPT and Perplexity, why it's hurting the internet. Well, think about this. Alphabet's Google search engine, they're seeing huge declines. And this is just not hurting Google. But think about this. It also hurts many companies who get their business from searching on Google. This could have a major impact on companies like TripAdvisor. This was amazing to me. It gets as much as 58% of its global visits from search. Now, I'm not quite like you yet. I still haven't gone to ChatGPT. I'm too lazy. I put in Google. They have that AI search right at the top. That's pretty much all I'm looking at sometimes.
Yeah, and we'll kind of address that here a little bit later on, but I think that could be a huge problem for Google. They're almost shooting themselves in the foot. But do you want to talk about why this is an issue? I mean, if you go to ChatGPT instead of using Google, well, I mean, there's no need to continue searching. So all those ads that you see on Google, well, you get one streamlined answer essentially on ChatGPT. You're like, hey, how do I make this for dinner? And it's like, bing, 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 it sends you all that. Where if you were on Google, you would all of a sudden be getting ads for like cheese and tacos and these different things. ChatGPT, you don't get that. You get one answer, no ads right now. It'll be interesting to see how that changes over time. But I mean, that is kind of going to be a big problem. And I mean, it's not just TripAdvisor. I mean, many companies, from Netflix to U.S. travel and tourism companies, are seeing declines in traffic to their websites by 10 to 20% from 1 year ago. For example, search referrals to the U.S. travel and tourism, they were down 20% year over year last month. And news and media sites, they saw a decline of 17%. So, I mean, this is a problem. And we did hear from Apple as well. I think it was last month or 2 months ago. They came out and said, yeah, the Safari browser is seeing less traffic to Google. It was the first time they've seen a decline.
What actually happens, because, again, you're more on ChatGPT than I am. I will do it. I haven't done it yet, but I will do it. But when I go to Google to search something, if I don't just use the AI thing, you do multiple searches. And every time you do that, it refreshes the page and you get new ads. If you just go up, correct me if I'm wrong, but ChatGPT, one page, one time, that's it.
Yeah, no ads.
No ads, yeah. So I do believe they will see ads coming up in the future, I'm sure.
Or you pay for it. I know that people are paying like $20 a month for it. And
yeah,
I mean, it is pretty worthwhile in my opinion. I might be willing to pay the $20 a month if they do start requiring you to pay for it.
How intrusive the ads are.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and it is amazing. You talk about how the growth of it. ChatGPT had 500 million weekly active user in March, and that was almost up 70% for the 300 million they saw in December. So I'm the guy that's way behind here. I need to go on ChatGPT, kind of look at it and start using it, because that's a lot of people. 500 million weekly.
Yeah. I mean, people are using it, and I'll admit I was a skeptic at first. And I was like, I don't get it. It's basically like Google. Well, it's better than Google. I mean, it gives you a summary in a much more efficient manner. So, I mean, I see the purpose behind it now. Sometimes, I wouldn't say I'm an early adopter.
Right.
I'd say I like to kind of let things kind of fizzle out, and then I'll kind of step in. And I'll admit when I'm wrong, and I think ChatGPT it's pretty amazing what it can do. But kind of speaking more specifically about Google, one of the other big issues for them is they still have that lawsuit. Multiple lawsuits, I'll say, for being a monopoly with the federal government. And it appears that will not disappear, because even though things have changed, they are being penalized for what they have done in the past. And I got to say, I think that's wrong. Why are you going to penalize them for what they've done in the past? That could hinder them in terms of the future competition. Now they're having to fight for their lives, essentially, to maintain market share. Why are you penalizing them for what happened, 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago, let's say?
Yeah, and I agree with that. When I read that, I kind of get it, because you can't say, oh, well, you're not being punished now. That's behind. That is past. But that the problem is gone.
Yeah.
They now are in trouble because they're not the big monopoly they were. And then if they do have to pay billions of dollars, that could pile on top of what they have. And I do want to point out, Google does have other good things like Waymo, YouTube. YouTube is huge. I've heard talk about it. They should spin off YouTube, but very interesting story for Google going forward. And I want to feel tempted to invest in it, but I'm just not quite ready yet.
Yeah, and I would say as well, the other issue here with Google is, and I'm going to say that, not the issue, but the beautiful thing I'm going to say with capitalism is this is why it's so amazing. People try and solve problems. I mean, Google's maintained this huge, essentially monopoly on search.
Yeah.
But now they've redefined search with ChatGPT and Perplexity and Grok AI, all these different AI services to create competition in a different way. And competition is a beautiful thing. And that is where I think it is so interesting that now the federal government could actually crush Google in this race against other competitors. Because again, they got to pay a fee for something that happened in the past. Like, shoot, that leaves us less money to compete against OpenAI and ChatGPT. And I was going to say one other thing about the search function and the AI function on Google. The reason it's so problematic, I've used that as well, it pops up at the top of your screen.
Yeah.
Well, if you just use that, there's no ads. Like if I go into the Google AI, the top, I'm going to say half of my screen gives you the answer that you're looking for. All the ads are beneath that. If I'm a business, why would I pay the same price for ads that are now further down the page?
Yeah.
And I think, again, they're kind of shooting themselves in the foot. I think it could cause some issues, especially considering more than half of Alphabet's total revenue comes from Google search alone.
And actually, they're between a rock and a hard place, because if they just ignore it, they're going to lose more business. They use AI. Well, now they're not displaying the ads as much. They're in a tough spot.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. I want to invest in them because of a Waymo and because of YouTube, but I don't know how they're going to fix this problem. You said half of the revenue comes from search. That's a
I use
big...
ChatGPT. In 2024, Alphabet reported about $240 billion in total advertising revenue. About 175 to 180 billion came from Google search and other ads. YouTube was about 45 billion. So again, a nice sized business, but within Alphabet, it's so small compared to the other elements of the company that YouTube's going to continue to grow, let's say, but not at a fast enough rate to maybe displace some of this lost revenue from Google search. They also obviously have Google Cloud, which is non-advertising. That was about 40 billion. The other bets in miscellaneous, I mean, that's really not doing much for them. They are building up Waymo, but I mean, you have, again, $240 billion in revenue. They're not even making a dent in that number yet.
And for every negative, there's a positive. I mean, one company that could benefit from the decline in search is Meta. Now, I was thinking, too, as I was saying that, perhaps even YouTube could, because what's happening is that this would come from Facebook and Instagram platforms, because that's still a way for businesses to be online in front of their potential new customers doing that. And I think YouTube, again, has ads as well, so you can go online other places. There's still some concern. I want to point this out because we do feel very comfortable with seeing this information, but there are still some copyright infringements from many companies that are out there, and this could be something that really hurts the advancement of AI. So things are not done now. We could have changes that are, and again, we like it. You love ChatGPT because it's so quick, but there could be problems down the road. And every once in a while, you do get something that
isn't fully accurate. I always give the disclaimer. I pulled this from ChatGPT, so if you come back and say those are wrong numbers, it's like, hey, I told you it was on ChatGPT. And it's not the truth yet, but it is a great resource, I think, in terms of utilizing resources for efficiency.
Exactly. Let's talk about why our big retailers